Hey Trent, how you doing?
What's going on?
Good. Um, hey, I guess we'll get right to it. It's Washington week. Uh, it's been written, reported, or whatever, but I'm not sure how much you've commented on it. So I guess feel free if you'd like to elaborate. But it's been mentioned. Last year, Trent didn't trust the medical staff. Now it's also about his contract. No, obviously you also had a serious medical issue as well. Can you, as much as you'd like, get into why you didn't play last year?
Um, like I said, the whole thing with the medical debacle, I think pretty much public knowledge at this point. Um, the whole thing about the money, if it was about the money, I could have took the money in Minnesota. It wasn't about the money. At the end of the day, it was about respect, and I felt like I didn't get that from them at that point. The 9 years previous to that, I mean, it was, I didn't have an issue. I mean, I'd seen issues happen, but I overlooked them because they didn't happen to me. Um, so I'm not saying that this was just a one-off, but obviously it was my first time being on that side of things. And I just feel like the better decision was to just go, on my separate way. Like I said, there's no ill will. I still love those guys in the locker room. We talk a lot, all the time, and I still keep up with them.
Trent, playing them this week, does that stir up any feelings or emotions in you? And if so, what are they?
No, I don't really have. It's difficult, man, because I didn't have an issue with those guys in the locker room, and actually those guys in the locker room supported me from day one and to now. They never wavered. They always publicly show support and privately show support. It's hard for me to say, yeah, man, I want to go out there and prove something. I have nothing to prove to those guys who's gonna be taking the field. And so it's, to me, I'm not gonna sit here and hold grudges for no reason. The people who I had an issue with, I don't think they're here. So, well, I know they're not there, or the people who helped instigate that situation are no longer part of the organization. So, I'm not gonna sit here and just carry some grudge just because people expect me to carry it.
Trent, you're obviously close with those guys. You've played against that defense a lot in practice. What's your scouting report on them, and what have they looked at like this season? Is there a difference? Is there anything new?
Oh yeah, it's totally new defense, and defense is nothing like it was when I was there. Ron Rivera has come and put his touch on it, and I think honestly putting those guys in 4 point 4 point stances instead of them just standing up and dropping half of the time. Honestly, I think it fits their skill set better. I think you've seen a huge upkick in Payne and Allen and all those guys along that front. Tim, even Sweat, the rookie, all of those guys, Kerrigan, everybody has benefited from being able to penetrate, and I think that's been their the most of their skill set. And so I think by Ron Rivera coming and kind of opening those guys up, you've seen more production and you've seen those guys play at a high level, and they're pretty much the kind of the nucleus of that team is a defensive front.
You mentioned the rookie. You went up against Nick Bosa quite a bit this summer. They were both coached by the same guy at Ohio State. I mean, do you see a similarity there with how he and Young attack a left tackle?
I do see some similarities. Obviously, their body type is kind of different. So little things shine through on each person. But yeah, that they're very active with their hands. That always active, always moving, not an easy target to hit. And Chase has just got a lot of athletic ability that you can't teach, and it's literally just the gene pool lottery. And I think he's going to be a heck of a player in this league for years to come.
Trent, you've been around your teammates now for about 4 months since camp. Have you gotten a pretty good feel of, I guess, where you would fit in this organization long term? And when you redid your contract, I think over the summer, it's true that you can't be franchise tag next year.
Yeah. So I think, to answer your first question, I think I fit right in. I think this coaching staff, the guys in the locker room, I think that they're all a pleasure to work with. It's been a heck of a ride. Obviously, it hadn't went the way we expected it to go, but I definitely feel like I fit in here. I think this offense is tailor made for guys like me, and I think this team is built to compete for years to come. I want to compete. So to answer your first question, yeah, I definitely think I'm a good fit here, and it was work where I cannot be franchise tagged.
Trent, obviously you're not there anymore, but when you see what Ron Rivera has done with the team from afar, do you see a bit of a shift in culture and attitude?
Well, I can't tell the culture from just watching the film. But those guys are playing with their hair on fire. They are playing pretty hard. I think Ron Rivera, I think that's been his thing since he's been in Carolina, was having a good dominant defense. And he inherited some really good pieces. He was able to draft a really good piece. Like I said before, I think that's going to be the strong point of that team for years to come. And those guys are young. They're quite healthy, and and they're all talented. They all have a wealth of talent and very high ceilings, individually.
Go ahead, Les.
Hey, Trent. It's good to see you again.
Hey, what's up, Les?
How you been?
I'm good.
Feeling okay?
Yep.
I wanted to ask a little bit about what you thought, maybe now that it's all over, what your legacy would be here, what you want it to be here.
It just depends on who you ask. If you ask people who kind of kept up with the situation and knew, they'll probably appreciate the 7 Pro Bowls that I gave them while I was there. If you talk to people who kind of just, don't know much about the situation or just want to be negative, then they'll probably tell you I betrayed the team. So it just all depends on who you ask. But, for me, my goal was to be a good teammate and to put good product on the field. And I think I did both. I was voted team captain 9 out of 10 years. And and I played pretty good productive football while I was there and received a lot of accolades for it. So, and to me, that's all I wanted to do. My legacy is, when you think about me, I just want to think of a football player that does his job pretty well. And, if that's not what they think when they see me, then, we just have a difference in opinions.
Hey Trent, Rhiannon Walker. It's nice to see you again.
What's up?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
Not too much, my friend. I was just curious, when you look at this matchup between you and either Chase Young or Montez Sweat, what are things that you see on film that either have you excited for this matchup, or just in general, like, what is it about going against a defensive end that has had some success the way that he's had that really excites you when you have kind of like a title bout like that present?
It's a challenge, and believe it or not, every week, every defensive end in this league is going to present you with strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes they match up to yours, and sometimes they don't. It's why you hear people say styles make fights. So, so I just approach it the same way I approach it week by week. Every week I'm pretty much going to draw the best pass rusher with little help. And that's just the story of my life. And that's what I'm expected to do. And that's what I expect myself to do. So those guys are outstanding pass rushers. They're going to challenge me just like anybody else would. But, I still have to kind of do my due diligence, just break them down on film, understand their strengths and weaknesses and how, I could exploit the weaknesses and stay away from the strengths and my strengths and weaknesses and what they can exploit, So it's more about me than it is them, but, I definitely going to do my due diligence and break them down and learn them as best as I can.
And just a quick follow up. You said that you usually get the best defensive end matchup. So in your watching the tape, who do you think you're more likely to face on Sunday? Chase Young, or do you think you're going to get Montez Sweat?
Well, I say best because generally they put the best pass rusher on the blind side. Honestly, the last few years it's kind of been switched up. So you see right tackles just as important as left tackles. But just watching from the film, I think Chase is lined up over me more so than he is on the right side. When you look at their pass rush breakdowns, he has about triple the rushes on the left side than he does on the right.
2 more, please.
Hey, Trent. How's it going? It's Matt Paris from Washington.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nice to see you. This offseason, you obviously had a chance to meet with Ron. But Washington obviously made changes with the people that, you had issues with. I guess, was there ever a moment you entertained coming back to Washington? And what kind of went into your decision to decide a start was best for you?
Yeah, I think, when the tide turned and, things switched over, I think there was a glimpse of hope that I will remain there. But after talking to Ron, I just think we was kind of on 2 different pages. He was coming into a team that he probably didn't know all that well. And he just, he wanted everybody to kind of show him what they had. And, at the point I was in my career, I just didn't feel like I had to show him what I had just to stick around. So I knew there would be suitors out there. So, I just respectfully wanted to go my own way. There was no disrespect. We had a meeting. It was very professional. He's a very, very likable guy. I've heard nothing but good things about him prior to the meeting and after the meeting. So, it was never an issue between us two. I think it was just where he was with the program and where I was with my career just, didn't sync up.
Hey, Trent, John Keim, how are you?
Hey, what's up, John?
I hope that locker's staying nice and clean out there.
Well, we in a hotel now, so I really ain't got a locker. I got a chair and a table.
There you go. I'm curious if you ever reached out to Dan Snyder after this, and along with the legacy question, does it matter to you? Like, you were headed for that Ring of Fame in the stadium and all that. Does that stuff still matter to you?
I honestly, I don't. It did at one point. I think I'm kind of, it is what it is now. If they feel like I deserve it, I'll be there. If not, then I won't. It's one of those things that, obviously if things would have remained the same, probably. But, things change all the time. It's life, it's not crying over spilled milk, and I haven't reached out to Dan. No, we haven't talked since I've left. But like I said, I ain't leave with any animosity towards anybody or anybody or even the organization. Like I said, I still watch the Redskins the football team every chance I get. Because those guys on that team, I really care about and really want to see them do well. About at least 40% of the locker room I play with, so I still watch those guys and root for them, man, like I would any other of my friends in the NFL. And, but I'm a San Francisco 49er now, and I think, you know, my goal is to try to end up in a Ring of Fame, you know, and so hopefully, you know, Washington decides to put me in there or not, it doesn't matter. I can string together a ring worthy ring ceremony, you know, string of seasons to where I'm, you know, kind of worthy of it here. I guess that's the only thing I can do.
Hey, faithful, click here to subscribe.